to the show, the co-directors of the documentary Filmage, the story of the Descendents / all, Deedle Lacour and Matt Riggle. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Doing great, man. Happy to be here.
Thank you for joining me today. The documentary follows long before punk rock inflicted its puncture wound on the map of mainstream music. The Descendents were a van brewing a potent mix of pop, angst, love, and coffee, and influencing a generation to come. I'll kick it off with you first, Matt. What was the inspiration behind tackling this documentary?
They're just like one of our, Deedle and I share, we play in a band together, and this was one of our bands that we really shared a love for. And, we actually got to know them a little bit because, we recorded with their guitar player. And so I think just the idea that these guys are, first of all, great musicians, we love the music, and that they're such interesting people, and that nobody had made a documentary. And there was only even like biographical information was even kind of sparse, and so it was just like seeing a big void and going, hey, what's this,
Deedle, same question to you.
I mean, yeah, that the for such a big band in punk rock and kind of that underground culture there, they're like these legends, and yet like most nobody kind of in the normal world or even the normal kind of rock and roll world really knows who they are. So it just seemed like a film that needed to be made, and the fact that we met one of them and then got to work with him and became friends, that was kind of our in. And it was just too cool of a story to not have more documentation. So
yeah, for me, as somebody, as you pointed out, like as somebody that wasn't very well equipped of the Descendents or all prior to watching this, actually when I watched, I was like, oh, that's their song. It's one of those things, you know what I mean? But for me, that's I think was a testament to you guys' storytelling, and I'll touch on it a little bit, but for me, anybody could really watch this as a music lover. And I don't know if that's the way you guys approach this, but was that obviously telling the story of the Descendents is important, but attracting a wide range of audience, was that also trying to approach that with this journey?
I think so. I mean, I think really it was just how can we pull this off and finish something was really the first thing. And then I think the story is so human, just, may sound cliche or whatever, but it really is. And I think no matter what you do in your life, you feel a connection to people like this who are working their ass off for something they really love. And, it's inspiring to see people who just keep going no matter what,
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that we went into it for a number of reasons, but we ultimately wanted a piece that could reach a wide audience, and not just the punk rock person or the fan, but hopefully all music people, and even people that aren't huge music fans, but we wanted it to resonate with people. And we think that the human aspect of the story and the characters and the people are just as cool and interesting as the specifics of the band and the punk rock thing. So
yeah, so you have the rise, the fall, and that's kind of one of those things that you are very attracted to within the story. It makes you emotionally invested, right? So with that rise, with that fall, with that rise type of thing, and the different band members across so many years, how hard was it trying to put the pieces together to tell the story?
Yeah, it was a lot. It's a lot. It's not like a beginning, middle, end. There you go. I mean, there's some constants there with Bill and Milo, and certain people, and Bill and Carl, who've been in the band forever now. But I mean, the twists and turns, and they had so many records, and so we kind of looked at it chronologically through the music in a way, which and through their music they tell their story. So fans always feel a connection to them, I think, because you feel like you know them. Yeah, and you don't just know them like a neighbor, so like their innermost secrets and stuff, the way they write songs, and so there's that connection. And so yeah, but it was how do you narrow it down, how do you keep it focused? And there was a little bit of like, there were certain through lines, like the story, Bill Stevenson was kind of the protagonist, if you will, because it's he's kind of the constant. But we wanted to also let it go over here for a little while and talk about coffee, and then come back. You know what I mean? Because you have to include all that stuff. So it is. I'm not saying it's erratic, but it moves really quickly. And if you walk out of the room or something, go to the bathroom, you come back, you got whole new band members, and you're like, who the fuck is this? So it is quick that way. So there's a lot packed into it. But yeah.
I'll say that was kind of intentional too, in the spirit of the band. They take a song and they bring it to the most succinct version that it can be, and then they do it really fast, so then it even becomes more succinct. And so that's just kind of in the spirit. The film carries that, I think, that spirit as well, in the way that we told the story. And we kind of had to, because it's such all these pieces and moving parts and people coming and going. And
so obviously you see a insane, crazy, wild side of the band, right? But on the flip side, there really is a lot of heart in this. What was it like trying to balance out the emotional aspect of the band, and that with kind of mixed in with that rise and fall, but also showing the personal side of each of these members?
It's a personal story, and they're complex people. It's not like you can just get a sense of them through a single interview, and so it's. And they changed a lot over time, their personalities kind of, in a way. I mean, they evolved, and they're very deep people, you know what I mean? And so that's going to be there. It's in their lyrics. I mean, it's as quirky as some of their songs are. They have songs that are heavier than anything you've ever heard. And so it's just natural. That's naturally going to come out in an interview. And, we're interested in all of it. We love all their songs. And so we really wanted to figure out what kind of people write these songs, songs about fishing next to songs about like abortion, you know what I mean? Like wow, getting a sense of that is a lot,
My other question here, Deedle, I'll let you kick it off with, is when people watch this documentary and they sit down and kind of dissect it, whether they know who the Descendents are, who they aren't, what is one thing that you want them to take away from this?
That's an interesting question. I've never had it put that way. I mean, I would hope that they are inspired, I guess, by the kind of people that are going for being true to themselves, I guess, because that's very much something these guys are all about. And especially Bill. I mean, he inspires the whole band and all of them to live that way. But yeah, it's the be your best self and do the best, whatever you're doing, like go all in on it, And so I would say that's probably, the thing for me.
Matt, same question to you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I would also just say the music, especially people who didn't know the band, and if they watch the movie, the story I think draws them in. You can connect with them that way. But I also think, we put a lot, we made sure to include a lot of music in the movie, and let it breathe and show the lyrics here and there. And because that's what we love, obviously we love the people, but to me, it's like, that band should be bigger than they are, they're guilty of just kind of being terrible self-promoters because they're so focused just on writing music and keeping busy that way. They kind of notoriously, they're the band that kind of always shot themselves in the foot and put up, there's like the line in the movie where the guy's like, this album would have been big as any pop song in the world had they not put a toilet paper roll on the cover of the record. I mean, so they're constantly kind of working against themselves, and it's because it's authentic and sincere and real. And so as a person trying to tell their story, to me it's like, hey, I'm trying to focus it and make it as appealing as like, so people really kind of learn that this is an important band that you would love if you had them playing in your life.
Yeah, that's what I kind of took away from it. Like I said, not knowing a whole lot about them going into it, you draw inspiration from their journey. You draw inspiration from that, like I said, I said it a couple times, but the rise, the fall, the rise again, like that's life, right? You know what I mean? It's not just musicians, that's life in general. And how you guys depict it, it was beautiful. You know what I mean? Because you have that, boxing style match where it's the, big guy versus little guy, and little guy comes back and then you knock him back down. But for me, that's what I took away from it. It's very inspiring. So yeah, I agree with, if that was the message you're coming across, I definitely did feel that through the journey through the film.
Thanks, man.
It's
helpful. I was just gonna say it's helpful because the story it's not like a 3-act thing that that rises and falls once. It does do that thing, but and it was helpful that when we made the movie with them, they were in a really good place to where there is kind of an ending, even though they're still going and they've put out records since the movie. I mean, they're still going. It's like there could be a whole other movie based on these last years that they're still at it, but I think it's just so I think we caught them at a really good place where they could kind of look back, and they're also hopeful looking forward, and they're still the same dudes, even though they're getting older. Still playing as good as they ever played.
So I like to ask a fun question before I go for all my guests. It's one that I've kind of intertwined here over the last couple of weeks. It's a fun one. So what is your go-to karaoke song? And I will kick it off with you, Matt.
Oh man, I actually have one of those. I have a couple, but I think More Than Words is always the one that More Than Words, something about that song. I love singing it.
I love it. Deedle, to you, sir.
This sounds strange, but Friends in Low Places, the Garth Brooks song, no matter where you're at, the whole crowd will join, and it gets better the more whiskey and the later in the night it gets.
That's not my go-to, but you're right though. Like if you're feeling it and like the crowd might be a little bit, you're right. Everybody stops. Friends in Low Places, you grab a hold of somebody, you're singing it you're probably singing it to somebody that you've never even met before. It's fantastic. So
especially in Texas. Where we're from, or where I'm from. That's not anymore.
But not to tie this back into a corny way, but this is real. Something that always frustrates me at karaoke is bands like Descendents are never on the list. You know what I mean? Because I would love to do She's My Ex or something, but so anyway, hopefully we can one day get that. That's my goal, is to get them on the karaoke lists.
You hear that? I'm going to cut that. I'm going to tag all of the karaoke bars across the country. This is the thing. Get the Descendents on the karaoke list. I love it. Thank you guys so much for your time today. Fantastic film, and I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it.